A push notification lit up a teenager's phone in a quiet cul-de-sac outside Columbus, Ohio. The banner preview showed only a fragment. "Who's free tonight?" while he's on the late shift. The sender's contact photo was her mother's. The teenager, Avery Cole, had been added to a group chat by mistake when her mother upgraded to a new phone and auto-synced contacts. Within minutes, Avery saw names she didn't recognize, dates, hotel addresses near the interstate, cash transfer screenshots, and photographs that connected back to her family car. She took screenshots, backed them up to cloud storage, and forwarded one to her stepfather, Mark Cole, a paramedic assigned to Station 12. The timestamp on her message was 7:41 p.m. The next confirmed action was 7:56 p.m., when Mark's unit cleared a non-critical call across town and his GPS ping stopped updating. At 9:12 p.m., a neighbor's doorbell camera recorded Lauren Cole's SUV returning to the driveway. At 9:26, a power blip hit 3 homes on the street. By 9:31, Avery called 911 from the upstairs hallway, reporting a crash and silence. When officers stepped into the kitchen, they found a shattered phone, a wine glass overturned, and Lauren's purse open but nothing obviously missing. Mark's work bag sat by the door with the zipper half open and a trauma shear peeking out. The house showed no forced entry. The back gate was unlatched. The group chat continued to receive messages for another 18 minutes. The Coles lived in a 2-story vinyl-sided home in Glenville, a commuter suburb with new construction and uniform lawns. Mark, 41, worked 12-hour shifts as a paramedic and part-time EMS instructor. Lauren, 39, managed a dental clinic front office. Avery, 17, a high school senior, split time between AP classes and weekend shifts at a bakery. The family moved into the house 2 years earlier after Mark and Lauren married. Neighbors saw them as orderly, private, and busy. The household ran on schedules. Mark's rotation posted on the fridge. Lauren's clinic hours rarely changed. Avery kept track of school, college applications, and her part-time job. Security cameras covered the front walk and driveway. The backyard gate faced a wooded easement with a footpath to a frontage road. On the afternoon in question, Avery had come home from track practice. Mark was on duty. Lauren texted that she would be late, citing inventory delays at the clinic. Avery warmed leftovers and studied at the dining table. There were no prior calls for service at the address, no restraining orders, no documented domestic disputes. Known associates included co-workers at the clinic and EMS, parents from the track team, and extended family in Toledo and Dayton. The household finances appeared stable, with 2 car loans and a mortgage current on payments. The sequence began with a device error. Lauren upgraded her phone during lunch, transferring data at a storefront wireless dealer. The new device auto-rejoined group threads using cached Apple IDs and phone numbers. One thread, labeled with a party balloon emoji, contained Lauren and 3 men saved as first names and initials. One was Evan R., a sales rep whose car had been seen in the clinic parking lot. Another, Sean B., worked nights at a fulfillment center. The third, Ty, did home renovations. His business number matched an earlier work order for the Coles fence repair. The thread included logistics, hotel receipts, rideshare confirmations, and cash transfers. The upgrade process added Avery's Apple ID to the same thread briefly when a contact merge mistakenly attached Avery's email to Lauren's contact card. Avery received the notification at 7:38 p.m. She opened the chat and scrolled. She captured screenshots, a chain of dates, references to meeting windows, and a location pin for a motel 2 exits from their home. She sent a single screenshot to Mark and none to Lauren. The exact content showed Lauren confirming availability after 9 and asking whether he's on B shift. Avery did not respond in the chat. She placed the phone face down, then picked it up again and backed up the images to a cloud folder titled Track Meet Photos. In the background, the Coles front camera recorded headlights turning into the driveway across the street. At 8:04 p.m., Station 12's logs placed Mark en route to the station after clearing a call. The ambulance GPS stopped reporting at 8:07 when it drove through a recorded cold zone near a concrete plant with persistent dead spots. Dispatch records show the unit back in service at 8:23, then in quarters by 8:31. Mark's personal phone did not ping any cell site between 7:42 and 8:29, consistent with being stowed or powered down. There was no record of his leaving the station after 8:31. Lauren's SUV returned home at 9:12 p.m. A front camera recorded her entering with a tote bag and a small paper sack. The backyard gate camera did not trigger motion. At 9:18, a smart plug controlling the kitchen pendants cycled off then on, consistent with a manual switch toggle. At 9:20, a bumper sensor log from the garage registered a soft impact, possibly a box shifting on a shelf. At 9:26, 3 houses on the row recorded a brief power sag. Avery called 911 at 9:31. Her report described a loud crash and no response when she called out. Officers arrived at 9:39, EMS at 9:42. The main living area showed minor signs of disturbance: a wine glass fallen, a small cut on Lauren's right hand, dried, likely from earlier. The shattered phone on the floor belonged to Lauren. The SIM tray had popped free. No blood patterns were present. Beyond the cut, a faint scuff marked the wall near the pantry door at ankle height. The back door was locked from the inside. The garage door was down, the interior door shut, and the motion sensor showed no open-close event since 6:12 p.m. Lauren was not in the house. Avery was alone, coherent, and cooperative. Officers canvassed immediate neighbors. One doorbell camera captured a dark figure crossing the sidewalk at 9:25, moving quickly toward the easement. The image was only a silhouette. The figure's gait showed a slight right-side imbalance. The person carried something under one arm, tucked tight to the body. Officers checked the backyard and found the gate unlatched but closed. The latch plate had fresh scrape marks and a smear of clear residue consistent with hand sanitizer or liquid soap. In the yard, near the stepping stones, a heel pivot scuff suggested a sudden turn. No footprints were visible on the dry grass. Along the easement, an officer found a latex glove twisted around a wild rose cane. Inside the glove, nothing obvious, but the interior was moist. At 10:03, an ALPR, automated license plate reader, 2 miles away, recorded a contractor van registered to Tyler Hammond, the same Ty from the group thread, traveling toward the interstate. At 10:26, a motel keycard door on Route 41 recorded entry to room 219. The room was paid in cash earlier that evening by a guest matching Tyler's build. The desk clerk remembered a second person arriving later but could not identify gender or features under a hoodie. Near midnight, a county deputy located Lauren's SUV parked behind a shuttered strip mall 5 minutes from the motel. The keys were on the rear tire. Inside the SUV, Lauren's tote bag, the small paper sack, and a folded receipt for a hotel cocktail lounge. In the paper sack, a boxed phone case, unused. The rear cargo mat had 2 long fibers of black elastic and 1 blonde hair not belonging to Lauren. At 0041, the motel contacted police after other guests reported thumping in room 219. Officers knocked, announced, and keyed in. They found Lauren alive but drowsy, wrists bound with elastic headbands, a thin bruise on the left cheekbone, and a faint chemical odor in the room. On the table stood 2 plastic cups, one with residue that later tested positive for diphenhydramine and alcohol. The bathroom trash contained a torn latex glove finger and a receipt for hand sanitizer. Tyler Hammond was gone. The second key card was missing. Detectives secured the house, the SUV, and room 219. They obtained search warrants for phones, vehicles, and cloud storage linked to the family accounts and the 3 men in the group thread. The lead investigator, Detective Aaron Maddox, focused on movements rather than motives. The first task, Establish which adult reached Lauren between her arrival home at 9:12 and the 9:31 call. Cell site records showed Avery at home, as expected. Lauren's phone stopped transmitting at 9:19, consistent with impact and loss of SIM contact. Mark's personal phone did not connect to any tower between 7:42 and 8:29, and then remained at the station after 8:31. Station logs, door key fob records, and an EMT trainee class confirmed Mark's presence from 8:35 through 10:10, with a short 5-minute absence at 9:05 to retrieve a teaching mannequin from the bay. Station cameras captured him in the classroom repeatedly. His issued radio never left the desk. The possibility of an accomplice was noted and left open. Attention shifted to the men in the group chat. Detectives identified Evan R. as Evan Ralston, 38, territory sales for a dental supplier; Sean B. as Sean Brewer, 33, fulfillment center picker; and Ty as Tyler Hammond, 36, contractor. Evan's car tag appeared on the clinic's lot 5 times over 8 weeks after closing. Sean's phone placed him at the warehouse from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. on the relevant night. Tyler's van was recorded at 10:03 heading south. His motel room was in his name. Lauren had been found there. In room 219, Tex collected a used nitro glove fragment, 2 plastic cups, elastic hair ties used as restraints, and a packaging insert from a phone case identical to the boxed one in Lauren's bag. The cups carried 2 DNA profiles, Lauren's and Hammond's. The glove fragment carried Hammond's DNA on the exterior and a trace of Lauren's hand lotion on the interior. The bathroom mirror showed a faint wipe arc. Luminol was negative elsewhere. The bedspread had an indentation on the edge and a partial shoe scuff. The scuff's dust contained fines common to the concrete plant near Station 12, but also to many job sites. Detectives expanded the timeline around the house. The power sag at 9:26 aligned with a breaker trip on Lauren's interior sub-panel, likely triggered by a surge on the line or deliberate cycling. The kitchen pendant smart plug logged a manual toggle at 9:18 and again at 9:27. Prints on the switch belonged to Lauren. The pendant's internal clock drifted by 90 seconds per day. Detectives corrected for drift. The back gate latch carried a clear hand sanitizer residue with glycerin, consistent with masking touch DNA. On the gate slat between 2 screws, Tex lifted a skein of rough-cut duct tape fiber. No tape was found on scene. Canvas of the easement produced the latex glove snagged on a thorn. It matched the brand and size later recovered from Tyler's van. The van's cab held construction debris, contractor invoices, and a roll of duct tape. In the rear cargo area, Tex found an empty blister pack of over-the-counter sleep tablets and a single hair consistent with Lauren's. Van floor grit contained plant fines and drywall dust. The motel desk clerk identified Tyler from a lineup. 2 other guests heard a male voice and a low thumping before midnight. The clerk reported that a second person used the elevator without a key, suggesting the door was propped or held. Elevator camera footage was degraded. The lens recorded only a dark sleeve and a portion of a backpack strap. The group chat content provided structure. Messages showed logistics and a triangular pattern of meetings. Some indicated overlapping nights. Payment screenshots showed small recurring transfers to Tyler and occasional gifts to Evan. Sean, scheduled nights, rarely met in person according to the thread. The thread also revealed a pattern of check-ins timed around Mark's B-shift blocks, matching his schedule posted on the fridge. Avery's screenshots documented identity without exposing her as the sender. She had forwarded a single image to Mark, which he opened at 7:44 according to read receipts. His reply was never sent. Dispatch placed his unit moving through the dead zone at that moment. The unit's status and body bay camera corroborated that he did not leave in the ambulance after returning to quarters. The crew chief signed a bay cam pull showing both crew inside. Mark's personal vehicle remained at home since the previous evening. No rideshare or taxi activity tied to him appeared that night. Detectives interviewed Lauren after she was medically cleared. She confirmed meeting Tyler at the motel with the intention to break things off, citing a message in the group chat that suggested escalation. She stated that Tyler arrived first, offered a drink, and she felt drowsy. She recalled restraint bands and a brief struggle, then partial consciousness while being moved. She remembered being in her SUV briefly, then on a bed, then officers at the door. She denied inviting anyone else. Her account placed Tyler as the contact who removed her from the house. Digital forensics pulled deleted content from Tyler's phone. It contained searches for how to bypass backdoor ring cameras, hand sanitizer DNA, how long Benadryl takes, and how to reset motel door without card. The phone also contained a note app entry with Lauren's address and the backyard gate described as loose latch. The note mentioned he works B12 and kid. Upstairs. That phrasing suggested prior observation. A search warrant at Tyler's storage unit recovered a tool bag with extra nitrile gloves, a level, spare elastic headbands, and a roll of black elastic cord. On a scrap of cardboard was an address list including 2 other women's names not related to this case. Both women were contacted and safe. One acknowledged a brief relationship with Tyler, the other denied knowing him. Detective Maddox's working theory after 48 hours, Tyler Hammond leveraged the group chat intimacy and routine gaps to control access. He entered through the backyard during a known window, subdued Lauren in the kitchen with chemical assistance, removed her to the motel, and intended ongoing leverage. The case now turned on capture and corroboration strong enough for court. The first twist arrived from vehicle telematics. Lauren's SUV sent anonymized maintenance data to the manufacturer. Investigators obtained a preservation order and then a lawful disclosure. The data stream showed a rear hatch open event at 9:22 p.m., closed at 9:24 p.m. It also logged a weight change consistent with an adult loading or unloading. The hatch open event contradicted the house video, which never showed the garage door opening. The only way to open the hatch without the garage door sensor logging was to access the SUV from the backyard and pull it forward out of the garage manually in neutral, then roll it back, improbable for one person on a slight incline. A second twist came from a neighbor's unregistered backyard Wi-Fi camera that faced the easement. The homeowner had never set a clock. The timestamp drifted. Still, the camera captured 2 moving shapes in quick succession at an interval matching the hatch events. One figure was larger, steady, carrying a compact object under one arm. The second was smaller, moving behind and to the left. The smaller figure had a distinctive stride, a rightward favor, similar to the silhouette from the sidewalk clip. The larger figure wore a light-colored sleeve, the smaller wore a dark sleeve. Detectives compared height against a fence rail. The larger aligned with Tyler. The smaller did not match Mark's height or build. The smaller figure identification came from an unexpected source, an EMS trainee's TikTok. The trainee's video, filmed earlier that week, showed Station 12's skills lab. In the background, paramedic instructor Mark Cole gestured to a mannequin, while a second instructor, Jess Parker, crossed the frame. Parker, similar in height to the smaller figure, had a slight right-side gait due to an old sports injury. She also left station at 8:56 on the night in question, documented in her time card for a brief errand, and returned at 9:34. Her personal phone pinged a tower near the Coles subdivision at 9:17, then a tower near the concrete plant at 9:33. Detectives reviewed Parker's records. She and Mark co-taught several evening classes. Their text history was professional, with occasional schedule swaps. License plate readers placed Parker's sedan 3 blocks from the Coles street twice in the prior month around 9 p.m., once on a Mark B shift, once not. Her explanation: visiting a friend 2 streets over. The friend confirmed only one visit. The other date was unaccounted for. A third twist emerged from the motel's access logs. Room 217 next door had a guest who complained about construction noise around 11:40. That guest turned out to be Evan Ralston, the dental supplier from the group chat. He had booked the room earlier, ostensibly for work travel. He paid with a company card. Evan's phone placed him in room 217 during the noise window, with no record of him entering 219. But a shared door between 217 and 219 had a scuff at the strike plate that matched a pry tool width. The door was still latched when officers arrived. However, the scuff showed recent abrasion. The fourth twist came from money flows. Small, regular transfers from Lauren to Tyler stopped a week earlier. On the day prior to the abduction, Tyler received a deposit from an anonymous prepaid card that investigators traced back to a pharmacy kiosk near Station 12. Camera footage at the kiosk showed a person in a hoodie and ball cap making the purchase at 6:18 p.m. The person's gait matched Jess Parker's right lean footfall. The prepaid card then sent funds to Tyler's account with a note, "Tonight." This shift reframed the event as a coordinated removal rather than a solo abduction. Evidence suggested Tyler was the contact inside the house and at the motel. Parker may have assisted with access and movement. Evan was positioned next door, purpose unclear. The question became whether any of them intended or attempted lethal harm, or whether the objective was leverage and isolation. Detectives confronted Parker with the cell site and ALPR data. She requested counsel. A search warrant on her sedan revealed a pry tool with fresh paint transfer consistent with the motel door scuff, a half-used pump bottle of hand sanitizer, and an empty blister pack of sleep tablets of the same brand found in Tyler's van. In her trunk was a short length of black elastic cord and a receipt for the prepaid card purchased at the pharmacy kiosk. The timestamp on the receipt matched the camera footage. The packaging bore a partial thumbprint that matched Parker. Tyler was located 3 days later at a storage unit on the south side, attempting to clear a locker. He fled. A foot pursuit ended behind a loading dock. On his person, a second motel keycard and a folded list of addresses, including Lauren's and the motel. In his pocket, cash and a note with B12 schedule written in block letters. His van, impounded earlier, contained no further surprises. His phone revealed a brief voice call at 7:50 p.m. to an unknown number later linked to a voice-over IP account registered with a throwaway email. The IP resolved to a coffee shop Wi-Fi near Station 12. The shop's cameras confirmed Parker entering at 7:42, buying a drink, placing her phone face down, and leaving at 7:49. Evan, confronted with the room placement and the adjoining door scuff, stated through counsel that he booked the room to meet Lauren, but after seeing Tyler, he left and slept. His company confirmed the trip but denied knowledge of the hotel choice. Evan's phone carried no direct evidence of entry to 219. However, his location during the construction noise aligned with the complaint log, forcing investigators to consider whether he stood by while an abduction continued next door. The final twist came from Avery's cloud folder. Forensic review showed not only screenshots but also one live photo that captured a half-second of ambient audio, a faint two-tone ambulance bay chime, and a classroom door bump. Unique sounds that Station 12's internal cameras picked up at 7:44 that same evening. The audio appeared in the file metadata because Avery's phone auto-saved live photos. She had accidentally moved the phone as she saved the screenshot. That audio placed Avery's message receipt and Mark's red action squarely in the station classroom. It did not implicate Mark in movement from the house, but confirmed his knowledge at a specific moment. The focus stayed on Tyler and Parker as actors. Prosecutors filed charges against Tyler, Hammond, kidnapping, felonious assault, aggravated burglary, and tampering with evidence. Against Jess Parker, complicity to kidnapping, burglary, and evidence tampering. Evan Ralston faced a lesser count of obstructing official business for failing to promptly report knowledge of a crime when he realized Lauren was in the adjoining room and left the area without calling police. Mark Cole was not charged. An internal EMS review placed him at the station during critical windows. He was placed on administrative leave pending completion of the criminal case. The case posture relied on layered proof: telematics from the SUV, doorbell and backyard cameras, motel card logs, DNA on cups and gloves, cell site analysis, ALPR hits, prepaid card receipts, and the coffee shop IP logs. The state also introduced the hand sanitizer residue at the backyard gate and the duct tape fiber as corroboration of restraint planning. The defense argued that the absence of injuries beyond minor bruising and the presence of Lauren alive and ambulatory weakened the kidnapping charge, suggesting a consensual meeting that turned into an argument. Prosecutors countered with restraint evidence, chemical sedation, and the hatch weight data. Parker's counsel claimed she was a reluctant participant who realized too late that Tyler planned a confinement scenario. She argued she left after seeing the situation escalate and purchased the prepaid card earlier for unrelated reasons. The prepaid receipt, thumbprint, and coffee shop IP undermined the claim, tying her to logistics. The pry tool and door scuff linked her to enabling controlled access between rooms. Tyler's counsel attacked the timeline and camera quality, asserting misidentification. The nitrile glove fragment with his DNA, the cup with his DNA, and his possession of the second motel keycard countered that assertion. The note with B12 schedule and Lauren's address supported premeditation. The duct tape fiber from the gate matched. A roll in his van by microscopical characteristics, adding another strand. Evan negotiated a plea on the obstruction count in exchange for testimony limited to his presence and observations. He admitted booking room 217, hearing thumps through the wall, and seeing Tyler in the hallway near midnight, but claimed ignorance of Lauren's presence. The adjoining door scuff and guest complaint times impeached the credibility of his claimed ignorance, yet the state accepted his plea to avoid overcomplicating the primary case against Tyler and Parker. Lauren testified about the kitchen, the drowsiness, the elastic restraints, and the fragmentary memory of being moved. She described waking in the motel room and the elastic headbands on her wrists. Medical records documented diphenhydramine in her system and a mild facial contusion. The prosecution emphasized the household gate residue, the hatch timing, and the paired shapes on the backyard camera as consistent with two people executing the removal. Digital forensics experts authenticated the cell site maps, the vehicle telematics, and the Wi-Fi IP logs. The manufacturer representative explained the SUV's hatch weight change and ignition events. An audio analyst authenticated the live photo chime and classroom door bump in Avery's file, situating Mark at the station when he read the message. That point neutralized insinuations that Mark might have been physically present at the house. The jury received a clean storyboard of actions: a mistaken group chat inclusion, a chain of logistics, a backyard entry using sanitizer to minimize trace, chemical sedation, elastic restraint, SUV hatch events, and a motel confinement. The complicity theory for Parker rested on the prepaid card funding, the coffee shop VoIP setup, the pry tool scuff, and her proximity to the scene. Tyler's principal liability stemmed from direct DNA and possession of the key, plus the storage unit supplies and notes. Verdicts came in a sequence. Tyler Hammond was found guilty on kidnapping, aggravated burglary, and evidence tampering. The jury hung on felonious assault. The court entered a lesser-included assault finding. Jess Parker was found guilty on complicity to kidnapping and tampering, not guilty on burglary complicity due to reasonable doubt about her presence inside the house. Evan Ralston received a misdemeanor conviction on the obstruction plea. Sentences followed guidelines. Tyler received a lengthy term with parole eligibility far out. Parker received a mid-range term with post-release control. Evan received probation, a fine, and a record that cost him his job. The case closed with administrative precision. Two actors used ordinary gaps, shift changes, backyard easements, motel doors to isolate a target. The The initial spark was a small digital mistake, a contact merge that placed a teenager in the middle of adult logistics. From that entry point, investigators layered simple facts until the structure held. Who moved where, which doors opened, what residue remained on a latch, which card funded a room, which key card opened a door, which cup carried which profile. There was no mystery about motive in the charging documents. The law did not need an inner story. The record shows plan, access, removal, and control. It also shows a second layer, how quickly a private thread can become a map for harm, and how neighborhood devices, doorbells, ALPRs, stray Wi-Fi cameras fill in the spaces between official timestamps. For viewers, which element truly broke this case? The SUV's hatch telematics, the prepaid card trail, or the short Wi-Fi call that tied the coffee shop IP to an errand? How should families think about device upgrades and contact merges that can expose or entangle by accident? And in an environment where logistics leave prints, what else in your routine is already recorded waiting to be assembled by someone with a plan? The docket ends with sentences and restitution orders. The neighborhood went back to lawn crews and delivery vans. The backyard gate was replaced. The group chat was deleted. The copy Avery saved to the cloud remained, archived as evidence. One mistaken notification that uncovered a chain of actions and a sequence of choices that turned a quiet cul-de-sac into a mapped crime scene.